Hello dear and welcome back to my channel. This is Everything April YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by today. Please, if this is your first time, do not forget to subscribe. You're highly welcome, and please give this video a thumbs up. So today's tutorial is on how to draft a corset top. This is going to be a beginner friendly tutorial, so please pay attention and watch till the end of this video. I've gone ahead to draw out my basic bodice pattern, so I will take you through the lines I've made. For this tutorial, I'm working with a shoulder of 14 inches, so half of my shoulder measurement is 7 inches, and I used a neckline of 3 inches by 3 inches. So from my shoulder line to 8 inches is the chest line, and to 9 inches is the bust point line, to 12 inches is the under bust line, and 17 inches is the length of the top, and I added extra 1 inch for hemming allowance. Also took my shoulder slope using the 3-inch 8 inches standard, and I've also ruled out my front armhole. So what I'll do now will be to impute half of my bust span measurement, that is nipple to nipple measurement, and half of my nipple to nipple measurement is 4 inches, and I'm imputing that on the bust point line, the waistline, and on the length of the top. Okay, and I'm not adding any allowance to these measurements. Now at the length of the top, I will take half-inch darts on both sides of the line I just ruled, and from the bust point line I came down by 1 inch, and I'm drawing out my darts just like our basic bodies, so I'm making the darts. So the next thing I will do now will be to check my bust radius, which is the distance between the bust point line and the under bust line. So mine is 3 inches. So I would now measure from the bust point line. I'll place my measuring tape and measure 3 inches all round from the bust point line. So what I'll do now will be to use my compass to make it easier. I'll place my compass on the bust point line and my pencil on the under bust line, that is 3 inches, and I'll rule a circle all round. So if you don't have a compass, that is not a problem. You can use your measuring tape and measure 3 inches from the bust point line all round, just like I have ruled out. Please take note that this circle we just drew out is just a guide to help us when drafting the cups for the corset. So now I will check the measurements I have from the neckline to the end of my shoulder, and what I have there is 4 inches, and I'll find the midpoint of that, which is 2 inches, and I noted that on the shoulder slope, and I'm connecting from that 2 inches down to the bust point line where I have my bust span measurements. Okay, you can see how I just ruled the two lines together. So on the under bust point line, from the dart that just crossed from the waistline, I will take half-inch dart more on both sides from the dart that crossed from the length of the top. So I'm taking extra half-inch from where those darts stopped. I'm measuring extra half-inches out for my dart, and after taking that measurement, I'm connecting it back to the dart leg on the length of the top. Okay, so I'm connecting back like this. So the next thing I'll do now will be I'm extending my darts. I'm also going to extend the darts on the waist to my hemline. Okay, so after that I will determine how low I want the neckline to be. That is parts, the cleavage part, how low or how high I want it to be. So you can decide to use the chest line or an inch or half-inch above or below the chest line. So for me, I would maintain the chest line, and the distance between two cups, I want it to be half inches. So I'm taking half inch, I'm measuring half inch away from the chest line center front, and I'll also take that measurement, I'll take it on the bust point line. So this is going to be the distance between one cup from the other cup. I'll also have to take that from the upper part of the circle I just ruled, the upper part of the cup. I'm going to take out that. So I'm checking the dart I have on the under bust line, what I would remove from the under bust as that, and I have 1.25 inches. So this 1.25 inches, I would remove half inch from the center front side, and to this half inch I would add extra 0.25 inches, and this is to avoid gaping. And then to the other side of the line coming from the shoulder, I'm taking out the remaining 0.75 inches and extra 0.25 inches, and this extra half 0.25 inches I'm taking out is to avoid gaping, that is the cup opening up rather than being firm on the body. So I'm connecting my darts from the under bust to the 1 inch below the bust point line, and then I'm also going to connect the darts running from the upper part of our cup down to the bust point line as you see me do. So after connecting, I'm going to check the measurement of the darts I have removed from up, and you see that I have removed 1.75 inches as opposed the 1.25 inches from the under bust line, and this is to avoid gaping. Okay, so and I've connected the darts together at the center. So now I'll start connecting for the cups. So I would place my armhole curve from the half inches I came out by on the chest line to the darts on the under bust line. You can see how I placed my armhole curve, and this is how I'll connect to form this side of the cup. Okay, so what I'll do now will be to connect the other side, the upper side, to complete the side of the cup. So I would also place my curve depending on the shape I want. So I would place my curve rule this way and connect also from the darts up to this half 0.5 inches I came up by, and I formed one part of the cup. So for the other side of the cup, I would measure what I have from the line of half of my shoulder measurement to where my armhole curve stopped. I will measure that and find the center of that, and from that center I would come down by half an inch and then rule a line on this half an inch I came down by. Okay, that is because I don't want my cup running into the armhole. So from this half inch I came down by, I am going to connect from the other leg, that leg, to that half inch I came down by. You can see how I placed my armhole curve, and I'm going to connect. So this will be where my cup on this side will stop. From the that leg on the under bust to the half inch I came down by. So I would connect. You can see how I placed my curve rule and connected. So to complete the cup, I would connect from the upper parts, okay, the upper part, that's on the upper part, down to the um point where the other side of the cup stopped. You can see how I'm connecting. So now I have formed my cup. So this tutorial, I'm going to make a two-part cup. So I'm just going to have the center and the side, and I will later in this channel make a video where I have three parts cup corset. So now what I will do now will be to impute my circumference measurement. So I would impute quarter of my bust measurement, and I will check the dart I would be removing from the chest line, and I would replace whatever that will be cut out. I would replace that, and then I added 1.5 inches side seam allowance, and on the length of my top I would impute quarter of my bust my waist measurement plus the 1 inch that I would remove. So I would impute that on like you see me do, and I'm going to add extra 1.5 inches seam allowance, size seam allowance. So I'm connecting the points on the chest line to the points on the length of the top, which is acting also as my waistline. I'm also connecting the side seam allowance as well. So I'm done with drafting the front part of this corset. Okay, so what I'm going to do now will be to label my cups, because when you cut it out it becomes a little bit confusing. So I'm labeling the center part as C and the side part as S. Okay, so all I have to do now will be to cut out my corsets. Okay, so just take note that the only allowance I added to this is just my side seam allowance and also the 1 inch for hemming allowance. Those are only allowances that have been added to this pattern. So take note that the center front will be cut on fold, and the side I will have to cut two pieces for that. So I'll go ahead and cut out our pattern. Okay, so at this point, if you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please take out time now and click on the subscribe button, and also don't forget to click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and you're free to share with your friends and your family. So you can see how I'm taking out my time to cut out. Okay, please take your time in cutting out. Okay, just cut out properly, and remember to label. Please, when you're making your corset pattern, it is important to label, because when you cut out and everything is in pieces, it might be difficult to distinguish which part is which. Okay, so this is it. And if you want a yoke, you can use the upper part. You can see the upper part that I've cut, and that can act as a yoke. So I've also labeled my center front, the main part of the center front as center front, and the side as the side front, and this is what I have. So now I will go into cutting the back part. So for the back part, I've also drafted my basic bodice, and I have 1.5 inches seam allowance as my zipper allowance. Okay, and all my measurements to start from this zipper allowance line. So I'm going ahead to impute half of my bust span measurement. My bust span, as I said before, is 8 inches, divided into 2 is 4 inches, and I'm also taking ½ inch dart on both sides. So my dart will stop 1 inch below the chest line. So for the back, we don't need the bust point line or the under bust point line. So I'm connecting my dart as you see me do. The length also for the back is the same as the length for the front. So everything from the back, the shoulder, and everything is the same. Okay, so this is it. I've made my dart. So I'll go ahead now to place my circumference measurements. So I'll place quarter of my bust measurement, which is 8.5. I would place that and add 1.5 inches side seam allowance. I would impute also half of my quarter of my waist measurement plus the extra 1 inch I'll cut out for that, and I'll also add 1.5 inches side seam allowance to the waistline as well. Then remember that at the back I came down by ½ inch from my chest line, so I'll do the same for the back as well, so that the back matches with what I have in front. So I'm connecting, you can see me connecting my points, the points from the 8.5 inches points down to the length of the top. So I've connected. Okay, this is what I have. You can see it. So the back is almost complete. So like we usually do, at the back, at the zipper allowance side, to eliminate zipper bulge, I would remove ½ inch from the zipper allowance as you see me do, and connect it from the waist part. I removed ½ inch and I'm connecting it straight to the chest line, and from these ½ inches I came in by, I'm remeasuring 1.5 inches, and I will still connect back to the chest line as you see me do. So I'm also extending these measurements down to my um, hem measurements, okay, to the hemline. Okay, so after doing this, I'm going to determine the neckline for the back. So the neckline, I can decide to come down 1 inch, 2 inches, or 3 inches from the chest line. So for this tutorial, I decided to come down by 2 inches from the chest line. That is how low I want the back part to be. So I came down at, from the center back, I came down by 2 inches, and I'm using my curve rule. I'm connecting to the chest line like you see me do. Then I'm going to take out that ¼ inches that on where this line crossed. Okay, I'm taking ¼ inch on both sides, and I'm connecting back to the dart on the waist. This is to help the back part to be firm on the body. That's why I'm taking out this dart. Okay, so I'm labeling my yoke. In case you need a yoke, you use this upper part for the yoke. So from the lower parts, from the zipper allowance side, I came up by 1 inch, and I'm connecting to the side as you see me do. So I'll be cutting that part off. Okay, I would cut this part off as well. So I'm done drafting the back. All I have to do now will be to cut out my back part. So like I usually say in my videos, before you cut out your pattern, or if you're drafting directly on your fabric, please remeasure to make sure that your measurement is complete, that you actually have the measurement you want before you cut out, that you've added the allowances you want to add and everything before cutting out. So for this back piece, I want to lace the back. I will not be using a zipper at the back, so I would go ahead and measure out the part I want to cut out. So I want to remove extra 2 inches from the back. So starting from the center back, before after the zipper, I'm measuring out 2 inches, and I'll cut that out because I don't want a zipper. I want to lace the back for this corset, so I'm cutting out 2 inches from my center back. So I'll go ahead and cut it. So if you're using a zipper, this is what you have, and you will not need to cut out this part I'm going to do now. Okay, so you're seeing where I'm going to cut out, where I labeled my side back, and I've also my center back, sorry. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut that. So this is for someone who wants to lace the back, but if you do not want to lace the back, you just use the pattern as it is. So this is what I have for my back part. I have my center back and my side back, and I labeled and use arrows to point where the darts will meet. I'm also indicating the upper part and the lower part. This is to enable me know which is which. And on the pattern, I'm labeling where I would have to add ½ inches sewing allowance and joining allowance. So that is it, guys, and this is what we have. This is the front part, and you can see the back part, so the sides are meeting. Also for the center back, I had to add extra paper to blend back so that the center back and the side back will meet at the same point. So for my back piece, I do not want to have a cut at the back, so I'm using masking tape to join the center back and the side back together. So guys, this is it on how to draft your basic corset top. Okay, thank you for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. In my next post, I'll be showing you how to make a corset top with the pattern we just made today. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.